Hello and welcome. Namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up in the next 1 hour. India's diplomatic blitz on Operation Sindoor to expose Pakistan-backed terror to the world gets underway. First 2 of 7 delegations head to Japan and the UAE. Israel triggers a firestorm, faces diplomatic heat after apologizing for its troops firing of warning shots at diplomatic delegations' visit in the West Bank. EU's Kaja Kallas says any threat to international envoys is unacceptable. Russia denies stalling Ukraine peace talks as fighting rages on, says a lot of work is on a possible deal that's going on. On Vatican as a venue for ceasefire talks, the Kremlin says no decision yet. And Indian author Banu Mushtaq and translator Deepa Bhashti bag the International Fiction Booker for Heart Lamp, a collection of 12 short, women-centric stories. Well, India began deploying its all-party delegations to different world capitals on Wednesday. 2 out of 7 of them will soon be advocating for the nation, telling the world about its decades-old battle against state-sponsored terrorism, which was triggered this time by the Pahalgam terror attack. Now, the task of these delegations is to expose to the world Pakistan's lies and justify India's actions under Operation Sindoor, which involved wiping out terror bases within Pakistan and putting pressure also by other means on Islamabad to turn off its terror trap.
Primed and ready to take India's stance against terrorism and its perpetrators as well as sponsors to all corners of the world, 3 of the 7 all-party delegations are on their way to their designated destinations. India's augmented diplomatic mission has a clear purpose in mind, as stated by the leaders of these delegations.
I'm very, very grateful to the Honorable Prime Minister, to the MEA Jaishankarji and to Kiran Rijiju. He has shown faith in all of us, and this is not about politics. We are going as proud Indians who want to fight against terrorism, and we condemn any terrorist activities anywhere in the world.
Group 3, led by BJP MP Sanjay Jha, was the first to leave home on Wednesday. It's slated to travel to Indonesia, Malaysia, South Korea, Japan and Singapore.
सबसे बड़ा इशू है कि ये आतंकवाद जो है वो पाकिस्तान की स्टेट पॉलिसी है, इनके नकाब को उतारना। ये आतंकवाद कोई वहाँ से कोई 2-4 लोग ऐसे नहीं आते हैं, पूरा स्टेट उसको स्पॉन्सर करता है, पूरा थ्राइव करता है स्टेट के सपोर्ट से। इस बात को पूरे दुनिया में जा कर के बताना।
Another group headed out on Wednesday for the UAE and certain West African nations. It's led by Shiv Sena MP Shrikant Shinde, who explained the importance of the destinations chosen for his delegation.
अलग अलग देश है, यूएई है जो ओआईसी नेशंस में है, सियरा लियोन ओआईसी नेशंस में, कॉन्गो है, वहाँ पर लाइबेरिया है, उसमें आपने कहा कि कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चलता रहता है, कि सिविल वॉर चलता रहता है, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि ऐसी परिस्थिति में ऐसे सभी देशों में भी जाना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि भारत का संदेश हर कोने तक पहुँचे.
Underlining the significance of the initiative, Minister of State for External Affairs Kirti Vardhan Singh said, this initiative will clear the air around a lot of falsehoods being spread by Pakistan and other vested interests.
अच्छा कदम है, ये आउटरीच होना ज़रूरी भी है. कोई मिसकंसेप्शन हो, कोई परसेप्शन में कमी, कोई मिसकंसेप्शन अगर लोगों को हो, सही परसेप्शन ना हो, तो उसको ठीक भी किया जाना चाहिए कि क्या हो रहा है दुनिया के इस भाग में, किस तरह एक पूरे स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड टेररिज्म चल रहा है एक देश के द्वारा. तो ये चीज़ें दुनिया में और देशों में इसकी जानकारी होना आम जनता में भी और वहाँ के लोगों में बहुत ज़रूरी है।
India has sent out delegations of parliamentarians in the past as well to take to the world its unequivocal stand on a wide range of issues. The last time when such a step was taken, Pakistan was put on the international anti-terror body Financial Action Task Force's grey list, first time after 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. Now, as India responds with Operation Sindoor in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack, these multi-party delegations are expected to act as force multipliers in India's all-out effort to wipe out terrorism from its soil. Bureau Report, DD India.
In more action, the Government of India has declared a Pakistani official working at the Pakistan High Commission in New Delhi persona non grata for indulging in activities not in keeping with his official status in India. The official has been asked to leave India within 24 hours. Charge d'Affaires, Pakistan High Commission, was issued a démarche to this effect. He was asked to strictly ensure that none of the Pakistani diplomats or officials in India misuse their privileges and status in any manner. Let's get you more on this with my colleague Akshay Dongri joining us over the phone line. Akshay, what more can you tell us about this incident?
Well, this is the second incident happening that a foreign diplomat, a part of the Pakistan High Commission, has been declared persona non grata. This means that the host country has clearly said that you are not welcome in this country anymore, and the reason that has been cited and that has also been made aware to the Pakistan High Commissioner is that the persons who are inside the Pakistani embassy, who are working in India right now, they have to ensure that they don't misuse their status as a diplomat. So being a diplomat or being a part of the High Commission gives you a lot of privileges. That happens with every country. But the same privileges are should be used for only diplomatic activities and not any activities that are against the host country. And that is what exactly seems to be happening time and again with Pakistani officials. And this is the second time since the Pahalgam attack and the action that India has taken against terrorism, that a person with the Pakistani High Commission has been declared persona non grata. They have to leave the country within the next 24 hours. We have also seen that how the strength of the Pakistani High Commission has been reduced after there has been an action that was taken by the Indian Ministry of External Affairs for the involvement of Pakistani government in the Pahalgam attack and the kind of terrorism that has been emanating out of Pakistan. So action has been taken. That was a reduction in size. However, this is declaring a person persona non grata is the strictest form a country can take to make the High Commission aware that the person who has been declared persona non grata has acted against the country or has acted against the interests of the country that is hosting the embassy. So it's another diplomatic embarrassment for Pakistan. But what is a more concerning issue is the fact that remains, and that is the usage of Pakistani High Commission but by not only ISI. There have been claims that many such nefarious acts have earlier also been traced back to the Pakistani High Commission. So that is the reason why the strong diplomatic action has been taken by the government of India.
Yes, we've had a spate of arrests taking place of YouTubers and others as well, Akshay. But this, of course, takes relations between India and Pakistan to a further low. Already, diplomatic presence reciprocally has been scaled down considerably.
Well, absolutely. And, the strongest way a country that can show disapproval, that has been conveyed twice by India in a span of just a few days. We have already seen exchanges taking between the two militaries when Pakistani army and the armed forces came in defense of the terror infrastructure that was being targeted by the Indian armed forces. So it's clearly a message that has been sent by India that no such activities will be tolerated that will be against the interests of our country. And while a lot of reasons and a lot of details have been kept confidential, Gautam, it is very clear that this second declaration of persona non grata of an Pakistani High Commission official is clearly a message that is being given to Pakistan as well. That it's not just the borders and the LOC where the India is keeping a watch on nefarious designs of Pakistan, but also in places like High Commission, it can also be a breeding ground for not only conspiracies but also terror activities have been traced back to Pakistani High Commission. So that's a very serious. This is a very serious note that the Minister of External Affairs has taken for the usage of the institution of Pakistani High Commission against the host country. So it has certainly taken the relation between the two countries to a new, fresh low.
Yes, certainly a result of spherical vigilance being maintained under the circumstances. Thank you so much for joining us for the moment, Akshay Dongre. Now, India has rejected the baseless allegations made by Pakistan regarding Indian involvement in the Khusdar blast. In response to media queries regarding the same, the Indian Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said, and I quote, India rejects the baseless allegations made by Pakistan regarding Indian involvement with the incident in Khusdar earlier today. India condones the loss of lives in all such incidents. However, in order to divert attention from its reputation as the global epicenter of terrorism and to hide its own gross failings, it has become second nature to Pakistan to blame India for all its internal issues. This attempt to hoodwink the world is doomed to fail. And earlier, a suspected suicide bomber targeted a school bus in southwestern Pakistan, killing at least 4 children and 2 adults on Wednesday. This bus driver and his assistant were among those killed in the attack in Khusdar district of Balochistan province on the way to a school that caters to children of army personnel and civilians living in the area. Balochistan Chief Minister strongly condemned the attack during a news conference, saying the enemy had stooped to new lows by targeting innocent school children. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is on an official visit to Europe, and on the first leg of his European tour, Dr. Jaishankar has been in Copenhagen. He met the Danish Minister for Industry, Business and Financial Affairs, Morten Bodskov. They discussed deepening existing areas of cooperation and exploring new possibilities. And still to come in this edition of DD India Newshour. The European Union ambassadors reach a deal on a €150 billion arms fund. Donald Trump Jr. says maybe one day he could run for president. And we get you all the latest updates on the weather front from across the globe as well as in India. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, even as calls for direct peace talks grow louder, tensions between Russia and Ukraine show no signs of easing up. The Kremlin has dismissed accusations of stalling talks, while new sanctions further target Moscow's economy. Meanwhile, President Putin has made a rare visit to the contested Kursk region amid rising military activities. Here's more in this report.
Direct talks between Ukraine and Russia are on, with US President Donald Trump issuing a warning to both parties as Vatican is being proposed as a venue for negotiations. Meanwhile, amidst allegations of Russia not going ahead with ceasefire discussion, Kremlin has rejected accusations of stalling the Ukraine peace talks, stating it will outline conditions but has not provided a timeline on its plans. Also, Kremlin refused to confirm its agreement for Vatican as a venue for the talks.
So far, no decision has been made on the location of further negotiations. Of course, this decision is made by all interested parties. There has been no such decision yet, but we, of course, traditionally welcome the readiness and efforts of all those countries that want to contribute to a speedy settlement.
Both countries, however, continue to accuse each other of launching drone and missile strikes against each other. Meanwhile, amid these developments, Russian President Vladimir Putin visited the western Kursk region for the first time since Russian forces expelled Ukrainian troops from the area last month. During Tuesday's visit, he met with volunteer organizations and toured the Kursk's second nuclear power plant.
The situation in frontier zone remains difficult even after the liberation from enemy. We also talked about it with Alexander Ryevsevich, but you know it better than anybody else. In general, all the Kursk region faced in some ways the problems which are typical for frontier zone. Everybody, including those who lives in Kursk city, faced these problems and hit now a rough patch.
Meanwhile, a Russian missile strike on a military training ground in Ukraine's northeastern Sumy region has killed 6 soldiers and injured at least 10 others, according to Ukraine's National Guard. The attack targeted a site used by Ukrainian special forces during a training exercise. As tensions remain high, both sides are bracing for further escalations on and off the battlefield. Diplomatic efforts continue, but a clear path to peace remains elusive. Bureau Report, DD India.
Israeli forces apologized for firing warning shots in the air as a group of foreign diplomats visited the West Bank city of Jenin on Wednesday. Foreign diplomats and Palestinian officials gathered at the entrance of Jenin camp during a visit to the northern West Bank when the incident took place.
The situation is difficult, complex and dangerous. Palestinian people are living a difficult life. We hope that in the next period, the Israeli occupation must stop in order to give people the chance to live a dignified and normal life.
Israel's military said troops fired warning shots after diplomats deviated from an approved route during the visit to the occupied West Bank. The Israeli statement also said no injuries have been reported. The IDF has launched an inquiry into the incident. It drew condemnation from Spain, Italy and the Palestinian Authority, apart from the European Union, all accusing Israel of deliberately targeting the group. In fact, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas has called on Israel to investigate the matter and hold those responsible accountable. She added that any threats on diplomats' lives is unacceptable.
We definitely call on Israel to investigate this incident and also hold these accountable who are responsible for this, and any threats on diplomats' lives are unacceptable. As Israel is also a signatory to Vienna Convention, has the right, the obligation to guarantee the security of all foreign diplomats. So I think this is.
Now, amid rising international pressure on Israel to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza, the United Arab Emirates has said that it has reached an agreement with Israel to allow the delivery of aid. The agreement was announced last night following a phone call between UAE Foreign Minister Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan and his Israeli counterpart Gideon Sa'ar. According to a statement on the UAE's Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, the aid will address the food needs of approximately 15,000 civilians in the Gaza Strip in the initial phase. It added that the aid also includes essential supplies to support bakeries and critical items for infant care while ensuring a continuous supply to meet the ongoing needs of civilians. However, Israel has not yet commented on the agreement. Israeli officials earlier informed that 93 trucks entered Gaza on Tuesday. European Union ambassadors have signed off on Wednesday on a new flagship arms buying fund being set up quickly to provide $170 billion in loans for defense projects, driven by fears of Russia and doubts about future US protection of Europe. The European Commission, which is the EU's executive body, proposed the fund in March as fears grew among European leaders that they could not be sure that US President Donald Trump's administration would defend them from any attack. The EU initiative, known as Security Action for Europe, seeks to break down national barriers by financing joint projects between EU countries and has a strong buy European element as it aims to boost the continent's defence industry. For a project to qualify for safe funding, 65% of its value must come from companies based in the EU, the broader European Economic Area, or Ukraine. US President Donald Trump's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., has said that he could maybe run for president one day. Speaking at the Qatar Economic Forum on Wednesday, Trump Jr. added that the Trump Organization was not doing business with government entities.
So the answer is, I don't know, maybe one day, that calling is there. I'll always be very active in terms of being a vocal proponent of these things. I think my father has truly changed, the Republican Party. I think it's the America First Party now. The Trump Organization isn't doing business with any government entities. They're doing it with private investors. I mean, many of the people in this room probably know them or have talked about them with that. And so, there is a very clear distinction between those things.
Well, India has been facing a fierce week of relentless heavy rains and thunderstorms along the western coastal areas. Northern regions, meanwhile, witnessed a dramatic change in weather. The national capital, Delhi, which was facing heat wave conditions during the day, experienced strong dust storm along with heavy rains, even hail lashing several areas across North India.
Even before the official arrival of the monsoon, a turbulent weather week is being experienced across several pockets in India. From the southern coast to the northeast, heavy rainfall warnings are being issued across multiple states. The entire west coast is under siege by torrential downpours. The India Meteorological Department has issued a red alert for extremely heavy rainfall in Konkan, Goa and coastal Karnataka on Wednesday. An orange alert remains in place for Kerala and south and coastal Karnataka through the next 4 days. In Bengaluru, the weekend deluge brought the city to a standstill. Waterlogged streets, submerged vehicles and flooded homes marked the cityscape. The IMD recorded nearly 40 millimeters of rainfall in just 24 hours.
We are expecting an early onset of monsoon. Conditions are becoming favorable for onset of monsoon over Kerala in the coming 2-3 days. So, and one more, system is maybe if after another 4-5 days, a system is going to be formed over the Bay of Bengal as well. So all these combined effects, we will be getting a good rainfall over coastal Karnataka and over the Malnad also.
Heavy rains continue to lash Goa, prompting airlines to issue advisories about possible flight delays and disruptions. Further north, Mumbai and surrounding regions have also been put on alert. The IMD predicts increased rainfall until May 24th, driven by a cyclonic circulation forming over the east-central Arabian Sea of the Karnataka coast. In Mumbai, the Andheri subway was inundated, disrupting connectivity between eastern and western suburbs. The city's train services were also hit, with commuters reporting delays and slower operations. In the northeast, Assam's capital Guwahati bore the brunt of overnight rains, leaving roads waterlogged and residential areas submerged. Vehicular movement was severely disrupted, crippling normal city life. Meanwhile, in the north, India's national capital Delhi continued to sizzle under the relentless sun. While the IMD has predicted light showers and thunderstorms over the next 3 days, regions like Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan will grapple with severe heatwave conditions for the next 48 hours. Beyond India, severe weather patterns are making headlines worldwide. In America's Tennessee, a devastating tornado ripped through neighborhoods, tearing roofs off homes and hurling debris into the air. In southeastern Australia, heavy rains triggered flash floods, cutting off towns and stranding residents on rooftops. Parts of New South Wales received over 4 months of rainfall in just 2 days, forcing snap evacuations. Amidst erratic flooding and unexpected heat waves in several pockets of India, experts are analyzing the anomalies from the point of view of possible impacts of climate change. With inputs from Tapas Bhattacharya, Bureau Report, DD India.
And a massive storm followed by rain hit Delhi and Noida this evening, disrupting traffic and leading to waterlogging and power cuts in several areas. Hoardings fell and trees were uprooted in many localities, with some areas reporting wind speeds of up to 79 km per hour. Airlines also issued advisories saying the change in weather might impact flight operations. Even as the pre-monsoon showers came as a relief to people in the searing heat, many trees and hoardings in the national capital toppled due to the storm. Let me now go across live to my colleague Tapas Bhattacharya. Tapas, what can you tell us about this sort of a storm that a large part of the NCR has witnessed? How widespread is it, and is it really pre-monsoon, or is it something quite unusual?
Well, first, this is not pre-monsoon. In fact, you could say that for Kerala, which is currently experiencing a lot of rainfall activity. In the 3 to 4 days, Kerala will get the monsoon. But for Delhi, this is particularly the situation is because there is a western disturbance and there is the easterly wind that is coming together, and the trough that is because of the combined effort of these two systems, there is a trough that is getting there in the Delhi NCR region, which is actually leading to such a massive rainfall activity, as well as the gusty wind that went almost to almost 75 km per hour in some places. Just to put it in perspective, at around 7:30 p.m. In Palam area, the temperature was close to 37 degrees Celsius. By 8:30, same place, the temperature fall to almost 23 degrees Celsius. So there is a fall of almost 14 degrees Celsius in a matter of 1 hour with this the sudden rainfall activity. And we've been told that this is a scenario with almost all the session. Almost 8 to 13 degree fall has been observed in most places. In the morning, in fact, when we saw in the evening also, the maximum temperature was hovering somewhere in the region of 40 degrees Celsius in most places of the state. So that is one part. What I can tell you now, Gautam, is that the cloud mass that actually resulted in such a huge lightning, the thunder showers, the rainfall activity, as well as hailstorm in some parts of the city. The cloud mass is actually now started to move away to southeastwards towards most part of Delhi. In fact, except for the southern part and the eastern periphery, it is now moving towards Gurugram, where you are staying. So you expect another massive rainfall activity, as well as the wind activity over Gurugram, and also Faridabad and parts of Noida, and it is expected to have a major intense activity because of that. So this is the current scenario. In the morning also, I spoke about the fact that IMD has given a yellow alert for Delhi NCR region. We expect a lot of cloud cover, as well as the gusty wind, almost 30 to 40 km per hour, but it has actually gone beyond 30 to 40 km. It has actually touched almost 70 km per hour. In fact, places like Palam and Safdarjung has reported close to 70 km per hour mark, which is a record for these two stations also.
Okay, well, I'm thankful. I'm not. I don't do too well in the heat, Tapas, so I'm thankful for the pleasant weather, and I hope it stays for a couple of more days. But I'm also concerned about whether this could have any impact on the arrival of the monsoon, particularly in North India, because there is a concern there in terms of how little rain this part of the country has seen in the last few months compared to the usual scene.
Yeah, well, so let's just start with the fact that generally, if you take a close look at the southwest monsoon and its relationship with the northwest part of the country, Delhi, NCR, Haryana, for that matter, Rajasthan, you will see that the monsoon hardly makes an impact. It has, I mean, I'm not saying that there is not much of an impact. It does have an impact, but it is not as prominent or pronounced as that probably, let's say, some of the down south region, for instance, Kerala, Karnataka, and other parts of the area. That's not the case, because by the time monsoon comes to the northwest part of the country, its intensity get lost with the due course of time. So that is what. Most importantly, Delhi gets its due course of rainfall, wind, and everything because of the sustained western disturbance that originated from Iran and all the way comes towards the Himalayan region, where Himalayas actually control the whole both monsoon as well as this northwest western disturbance. So this is one of the reasons why you will find that we have more western disturbance, more occurrence of western disturbance. So if you have more western disturbance coming in the northwest part of the country, it automatically cools down the temperature. But if there is a delay or there is a gap of a lot of western disturbance, the temperature, the humidity increase manifold. So that's one of the reasons why you will find that in the last week or two, you had a lot of heat wave. You had a lot of temperature rising. But back to back western disturbance has actually cooled it down. So, but there is another flip side. The humidity has increased a lot. In fact, 40 to 50% of humidity is currently there. And we just got a message from the IMD that says there will be light to moderate rainfall activity that is going to take place with almost 30 to 50 kilometer gusty winds over NCR. That is Hindon, Ghaziabad, Indrapuram, Noida, Greater Noida, Faridabad, Saranpur, and other places, and also dust storm and almost 40 to 70 kilometer per hour mark we are expecting in the other places of NCR, for instance, Vallabhgarh, Sikandarpur, Khurja. These are the places.
So it's understandable that this will have a disruptive impact on people traveling as well, be it by air or by other means. So it'll be best for them to check, if they're taking flights or trains or even buses for that matter.
So there are 10 flights have been diverted from Delhi airport as we speak right now, Gautam.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us, Tapas, and I do hope that this tempestuous weather has not hit the mango orchards down in the east of the country, because that will be quite a bummer. Thanks. Now, still to come on DD India Newshour, we'll be speaking with our expert guests about India's unprecedented in-scale diplomatic foray to national capitals across the world in the wake of Operation Sindoor. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to virtually inaugurate over 100 railway stations nationwide on Thursday. And the Asiatic lion's population in India has grown by a third in 5 years as conservation efforts pay off.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Gautam Roy, and before we go any further, another look at our top stories. India's diplomatic blitz on Operation Sindoor to expose Pakistan-backed terror to the world gets underway. First 2 of 7 delegations, all party delegations, head to Japan and the UAE. Israel triggers a firestorm, faces diplomatic heat after apologizing for its troops firing warning shots at diplomatic delegations' West Bank visit. EU's Kaja Kallas says any threat to international envoys is unacceptable. And Russia denies stalling Ukraine peace talks as fighting rages on, says a lot of work on a possible deal is on. On the Vatican as a venue for ceasefire talks, the Kremlin says no decision yet. Let's now take you back to our top story, which is about India's outreach to the world in the wake of Operation Sindoor. What preceded that was the Pahalgam terror attack, which is why India responded the way it did, targeting epicenters, different bases of terror in not only Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, but also within mainland Pakistan. And thereafter, there was some heat that got raised, which led to the military action being put to a stop after some time when Pakistan reached out. And now we have a situation where India is putting across its stand against terrorism, against sponsorship of state sponsorship of terrorism very strongly across the world, justifying its actions. We're joined to talk about it by our guests, Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former Indian Consul General in Pakistan, and Professor Swasti Rao is also with us. She's a well-known geopolitical expert with the Jindal School of International Affairs. Good evening to you both. First to you, Ambassador Dayal, what do you make of what India is doing and how it's going about it? It's pretty unprecedented in scale, because we have had delegations being sent out to take India's message out to the world in the past as well, but never in this manner, in these large numbers, to so many countries.
Good evening, and thanks for having me on your show. It's again a delight to be with Professor Swasti Rao. We did a discussion on a similar subject on another channel just about 45 minutes back. And here we are again.
Well, it's the topic of the day.
We are again talking about it because it's such an important topic. As you said, this is the most important topic of the day. You know, India is making a diplomatic outreach to key countries to convey to them very forcefully our message that we will have zero tolerance for terror. Now, it's very significant that this is a delegation which is drawn from across the political spectrum. It has representatives from several political parties. And the message which is going across is that India stands united on this matter, which is vital for our national interest. Now, combating terrorism from Pakistan is something that we have been doing for a long time. Let me recall that when Prime Minister Modi took over for the first term, he invited the then Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif, to his swearing-in ceremony. And next year, he paid an unannounced visit, unscheduled visit to Lahore to attend the wedding of Mr. Nawaz Sharif's granddaughter, while Prime Minister was on his way back from Kabul. So he made every gesture possible to show that he wanted good and friendly relations. Now, what happened? Just a week after his visit to Lahore, Pakistan launched the Pathankot terror attack. That was on 2nd January 2015. And then, 2016, sorry. And then a few months later, in September, Pakistan again carried out the Uri terror attack. And then in 2019, the Pulwama attack, and now the Pahalgam attack. So we are absolutely determined that we will not brook any nonsense from Pakistan. And that is why we sent across a very telling message through Operation Sindoor. And we targeted the terrorist camps. And we also made it clear that we had no intention of attacking military targets or targets of economic importance or civilian targets, but we would retaliate if Pakistan escalated. And that's what happened. Pakistan escalated and we retaliated. And the damage that was caused to Pakistan was considerable. However, the propensity of Pakistan to again engage in terrorist activities against us does not remain in any manner diminished. Pakistan has it in its bloodstream, this idea of wanting to carry out terrorist attacks against India. Now, let me mention that the global community somehow thinks that terrorism from Pakistan only threatens India, which is so hugely wrong, because terrorism from Pakistan can be a threat to all countries of the world. In fact, there are so many terrorist attacks which have been carried out, for instance, in Europe, which have Pakistani links. And again, let us not forget, and this is what we have tried to tell the Americans, that the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks, Osama bin Laden, was living in Pakistan for 5 years. He had been given sanctuary by Pakistan, and he was living just a mile away from the National Military Academy of Pakistan in Abbottabad. So Pakistan is a country which has such strong links to terrorism, and therefore there is a great need, in the interests of not just India but the global community, that Pakistan's terrorism should be checked and that steps should be taken to make it sure that Pakistan's capacity to carry out terrorist activities is diminished. And what we need to do is to put political brakes, that is to say, brakes on terrorist organizations which are based in Pakistan, and those organizations plus their leaders have to be put on the UN watch list,
right,
the UN blacklist, and at the same time, Pakistan has to be put on the grey list of the Financial Action Terror Force, because financing of terrorism from Pakistan has to be stopped. Let me just say one last thing. The IMF recently gave to Pakistan a loan.
Exactly, I wanted to bring that up.
Now, Pakistan has received 24 major IMF loans, plus it has received loans from all across the world. Where does the money go? The world community must ask, how is it that Pakistan is so impoverished when it gets so much of money as international loans? Surely that money is misutilized by the armed forces to train terrorists, arm and abet them, and fund them and send them across to India. And therefore, it is very, very important that organizations like the IMF should put brakes on any further packages to Pakistan. And the loan that was recently approved should not be dispersed, because it is not in anybody's interest, not just India's, but not in the interest of the global community, that Pakistan should continue to have the financial means to back terrorism. So the challenges before our delegation are considerable. They have to convince the people in the countries where they are visiting about the danger of Pakistani terrorism and what their country needs to do also to support India's efforts.
Let me bring in Professor Rao as well. Swasti Rao, let me ask you, because whenever there are two parties that kind of face off, it becomes a case of who's right, who's wrong, and who screams the loudest, who tells their story, their side of the story more effectively. So it's a battle of perception as well. Now let me ask you, with the example that Ambassador Dayal gave just now of the IMF loan, the next tranche, where the IMF has altered the conditions, made them more stringent as well, after the actions that India took, that Pakistan has already begun to lose the perception battle. And these delegations that are going out in different parts of the world may be the last nail in the coffin.
Well, Gautam, good evening, and it's a pleasure again to see Ambassador Dayal merely after, I think, half an hour it was. But anyway, so I think very quickly to your question, you see there are a couple of things here. Now, India's outreach to countries, if you've seen the list of countries that figure in those 7 groups, okay, you will see that it doesn't contain China, it doesn't contain Turkey, it doesn't contain Azerbaijan, and for a reason. So we are not expecting that these countries that have come out, especially China and Turkey, Azerbaijan is a very small player, of course it has its own scores to settle with India for what we're doing in Armenia, and that's a different thing altogether. But coming back to China and Turkey, we're not even expecting that our explanation is going to help these countries understand the kind of a dirty game that Pakistan plays with us. That's on the one hand. We are trying to reach out not only to IMF, of course, I think that point has been very well elaborated by Ambassador Dayal. So it goes on to show that, yes, diplomatic maneuvering and diplomatic messaging does matter when it comes to these kind of situations. And you did see that after all these outreaches, IMF did tighten and conditions and made them more stringent. That's one. But please also remember that Pakistan has many, many options. Do you know that in 2025, UAE, which is a very close partner to India, in fact, UAE is India's most important preeminent strategic partner in the West Asian region. They have promised Pakistan an additional loan of $1 billion US dollars, and in addition to the $2 billion US dollars already promised. And as we are speaking, I was checking Pakistani media reports that out of all that money, they are now pressurizing the UAE to free up at least 350 million, of that money. So what I'm saying is that this problem of Pakistan traveling across the world, asking them for money, is something which is not just an IMF problem per se. It is also extending beyond IMF and to other players. And I just gave you one example, and this is a country with whom we have excellent ties, right? So the reason why I'm kind of elaborating upon this is to actually acquaint you with the complexity of the matter. We cannot expect the international community to overnight isolate Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan also serves a lot of geographical interest, a lot of connectivity interest. There is also this entire thing of what happens to Afghanistan, etc., etc. So this entire journey of isolating Pakistan from the international community, or at least apprising the international community of what Pakistan does with that money, is something that is going to take time. And this is a very, very valid, important part of our long-term strategy to isolate Pakistan and to, so that's on the one hand. In the short term, all we can expect is perhaps making things a little more difficult for Pakistan in order to, get these tranches and get these loans. But I'm not sure if we will be able to completely stop it, because please understand that there's one thing that Pakistan has done very successfully over the years, is that Pakistan has positioned itself as a victim of terror itself, terror too. So the basis for Pakistan to get this money is to actually portray itself as a victim and say
taking advantage of the underdog mindset, it seems.
Of course, yeah. So that's also happening, and all these things actually play into the complexity that we see today. And then ultimately, like I said, that this is nobody is expecting that just by dispatching these delegations, everything is going to be sorted. I mean, India has done dossier diplomacy for many, many years, and India has been criticized for it. I mean, especially Indians have criticized it because us taking our story out to the world and them turning a deaf ear and just continuing with whatever they were doing with Pakistan is something that we have seen. So like I mentioned, I mean, generally, my posture is that we are alone in this fight, and there is no doubt about that. And we have to do what it takes, okay? And we have done it. We have created a new normal. We have taught Pakistan a lesson. We have told them that if you do a Pahalgam on us, please be prepared for everything. And in fact, we have also revamped our own doctrine, where we have now said that any act of terror is going to be an act of war. Of course, it remains to be seen how this is going to be finally implemented. But what I'm saying is that we have done what it takes. But at the same time, I think this outreach from India's side is also a very clear messaging to show to the rest of the world community, as well as to other Indians, that India's position in the world today is very unique. We are talking about a major country in the Indo-Pacific region, which is soon going to be the world's third largest economy, and with all the other promises that we know the country holds. Now, in that respect, I think a clear messaging needs to be, sent to these foreign partners, and I think that's precisely what India is doing. If you see their profile, you will see that right from very important strategic partners to trading partners to countries that are figuring, in the United Nations Security Council as non-permanent members. So we are making an outreach to everybody. So it's just
because Pakistan itself is a member of the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member for several months, 17 months, I believe. And that is why a lot of these countries have also been chosen. Ambassador there?
As Dr. Rao herself said, this is a beginning, and there are long-term goals which are associated. So if we are also trying to sensitize countries which are not presently members of the UN Security Council but would become after 17 months, then it shows that we have a long-term strategy in mind, which is very, very important. It should not be that we make an effort and then after some time the whole thing gets forgotten. We have to be very, very persistent in regard to these efforts. Now, there are a whole host of issues which the other countries may be anxious to know about. For instance, our decision to suspend the Indus Waters Treaty, or the sort of fake news that was circulating about our planes being downed or that we had targeted places of worship, etc. So our delegation will have to correctly portray the state of affairs and explain to the countries concerned how we are shaping our policy, what our objectives are, and that while we did not want to hurt the Pakistani people in any way, but at the same time, we have to put a stop to terrorism. So there is a lot that we need to prepare the other countries as regards India's future steps are concerned, because the Prime Minister has made it very clear that Operation Sindoor is an ongoing process. I may add a couple of other very important points also. Most countries act according to their national interests. It is not that when we go and speak to them, they will change their policy or they will begin to take a new line of approach to Pakistan. They will factor in what their interests are. This is so of the United States. It has always taken into account how Pakistan is important for it, what is the sort of role that Pakistan plays in its strategy formulation. And this will continue to happen. But nonetheless, we have to make it clear to all the countries that we are visiting that terrorism from Pakistan is not just something that affects us adversely. It could affect all other countries also in some form or the other, because terrorism always has global interconnection.
Right. Well, we'll have to leave it there at the moment, completely out of time. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Ambassador Dayal, as well as Professor Rao. I look forward to again connecting with you in the coming days, because there will be plenty of occasion to talk about this very issue. It will remain on top of perhaps all broadcasts, at least where DD India is concerned. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, India is set to embark on an ambitious development program for its mega railway infrastructure under Amrit Bharat Yojana. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will virtually inaugurate over 100 railway stations nationwide from northwest Indian city of Bikaner on Thursday. Spread through 86 districts across 18 states and union territories, the upgraded railway stations will feature state-of-the-art infrastructure and facilities, offering a world-class travel experience for passengers. In India's central state of Chhattisgarh, security forces neutralized 27 dreaded Maoists, including its top leader, Nambala Keshav Rao, alias Basavraj, in an encounter in Abujmad area of Narayanpur district on Wednesday morning. The operation by the District Reserve Guard is being carried out in 4 districts of Narayanpur, Dantewada, Bijapur and Kondagaon. This was based on information that a senior Naxal leader was hiding in a specific area in Abujmad. DRG forces recovered all bodies and seized arms and ammunitions. One Jawan was also martyred in the gunfight. The big news has come less than a month after security forces undertook a major anti-Naxal operation codenamed Black Forest in and around Karegutalu Hills in Chhattisgarh-Telangana border, killing 31 Naxals. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has termed the elimination of Naxals or left-wing extremists as a remarkable success. In a social media post, the PM said, and I quote, "Proud of our forces for their remarkable success. Our government is committed to eliminating the menace of Maoism and ensuring a life of peace and progress for our people." End quote. And in a powerful display of national pride, the ongoing Tiranga Yatra continues to unite people across the country, honouring the courage and sacrifice of India's armed forces, particularly in light of their efforts during Operation Sindoor. Here's a look at the highlights of the 14th day of the Tiranga Yatra, a movement that has grown into a nationwide celebration of bravery, unity and patriotism.
The Tiranga Yatra, now in its 14th day, continues to stoke the sentiments of national pride as people from all walks of life come together to honour the valour of India's armed forces in Operation Sindoor. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha visited the Poonch Brigade headquarters, where he met Indian Army soldiers and Border Security Force personnel stationed in the area. The LG announced government jobs to the next of the kin of the families of martyred civilians in the Union Territory. In Nagaur, city of Rajasthan, Tiranga Yatra was organized, where people praised the bravery of the army by holding the tricolour in their hands. They also raised slogans of Bharat Mata and praised the steps taken by the army to end terrorism. Also, Rajasthan Chief Minister Bhajan Lal Sharma attended the Tiranga Yatra in Jaipur, with locals excitedly chanting patriotic slogans and showing unwavering support to the Indian Defence Forces for their bravery and sacrifice during Operation Sindoor. Speaker of India's lower house of Parliament, Om Birla, also attended the Tiranga Yatra in Rajasthan's Bundi. The procession witnessed mass participation of people from all walks of life. A Tiranga Yatra was taken out in Hanumangarh town. The Yatra ended at the Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Chowk by offering floral tributes at the statue of Netaji, slogans echoing chants of Bharat Mata Ki Jai, praising the valor of Indian soldiers. Moving on to Hyderabad, where Tiranga Yatra was graced by Indian Army officers and veterans who led the rally with dignity and pride. Throughout the route, citizens showered flowers upon the marchers, offering a warm and heartfelt welcome. From the cities to the remotest corners of the country, the Tiranga Yatra has gained momentum and is more than just a rally. It's a movement of national pride. As the tricolour continues to fly high, the nation stands together, honouring the courage and commitment of India's armed forces. Bureau Report, DD India.
The 16th population estimation of Asiatic lions has been officially announced by the Chief Minister of Gujarat on the 21st of May this year. And the numbers are roaring loud. Well, Gujarat is now home to 891 lions, marking a remarkable 32.19% increase since 2020 and a 70% rise over the last decade. Prime Minister Modi has hailed the efforts being made under Project Lion, which are ensuring the protection of lions in Gujarat along with providing them a favourable environment. The census conducted from the 10th to the 13th of this month covered 35,000 square kilometres across 11 districts using the direct beat verification method. And Indian writer, lawyer, activist Banu Mushtaq has scripted history by winning the International Booker Prize 2025 for the short story anthology Heart Lamp. It is the first book written in the Kannada language, which is spoken in the southern Indian state of Karnataka, to win this prestigious prize. The book marks the first win for a title translated from Kannada. The stories in Heart Lamp were translated into English by Deepa Bhashti. Lawyer and activist Banu Mushtaq will split the 50,000 Great British Pound prize money with Deepa Bhashti. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download it right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.